So, hello everybody. My name is Tim Cuevas. I am the high school team lead and math teacher, and I am joined here by my colleagues of 5 years now. We have Mr. Dale Kern, Mr. Jason Brinkley, Miss Amy Schneider, and Miss Amanda Matthews Novello. So, most of us have talked before, so some of this will look familiar, but we always love talking a little bit about just the great place we work, the great team and students we have, and some of the fun stuff we do. To start us off, we're going to have Miss Amy Schneider.
Hi guys, I apologize. I am at swimming lessons, so there's a lot of background noise. So with science, this year with freshmen, we're taking a little bit of a different approach since we have such a wide math girth in our freshman class. We actually have two different earth science sections. The first time we've done this in the last 4 years, so it's been really fun to kind of watch the two groups blossom and grow and see their different personalities. But we just finished up outer space and we're back to earthquakes and volcanoes. Biology with sophomores, we actually just finished up a unit on the ethics of human experimentation. And the kids researched a lot of different historical incidents of human experimentation going back to Alexander the Great's time, all the way up to the 1980s. Chemistry for juniors, Mr. Cuevas and I are actually in the middle of tag team teaching stoichiometry, and the kids just had a lot of fun last week with a Skittles lab where they were balancing equations using their bag of Skittles. And then Miss Charlie and I are actually tag teaming a new elective this semester for environmental science with 5 students, and we've actually just created a presentation about the HVAC system at Westgate after the kids did a lot of research on it.
Then Miss Schneider is also the senior advocate, and she's preparing to take a group to police. So along with teaching, balancing that schedule, and yeah, definitely a very busy parent doing all the things. So thank you for being able to join us, Amy. Then I believe that brings it to me. Here we go. Cool. So I'll let you read through those. This is more or less what I'm covering in my different classes. But some of the exciting things I wanted to highlight are I just started my 6th year at Westgate and my 2nd advocacy. So I have freshmen after mine graduated a couple years ago. And getting to know a new group of students and families and going through the high school experience with them is one of the greatest parts of this job. Some fun things that we're doing mathematically that aren't on here but are part of different units are here pretty soon. Freshmen are going to be using quadratics to build, to make blueprints and then build bridges, which we're then going to stress test and talk about what makes a good bridge mathematically. We're going to be, sorry, excuse me. There we go. In geometry, we just started trigonometry, which is one of my favorite units because we're going to be going outside with meter sticks and finding the heights of trees based on shadows, the angles of the sun, all sorts of cool stuff like that. Trigonometry, I also love talking about the crazy history because mathematicians were kind of wild. And then algebra 2, like Ms. Schneider said, we're tag teaming stoichiometry and chemistry briefly because that is a very mathematical concept. And a lot of the math we do has to do with unit conversion, which is applicable to everything I teach. We are also starting to ramp up to the SAT because that's a coming. And that's kind of my job in a nutshell. I'll talk a little more about high school happenings here in a little bit, but I'm going to pass it off to Miss Matthews.
Hello. So you have all most likely, if you've been on the board, have seen this presentation from us. English, I teach English 9, 10, 11, and some electives. Granted, English 9 is more composition, English 10 is world literature, English 11 is focused in like drama, and then moving on to like narratives and lots of SAT prep in the spring. So I thought I would focus a little bit more this time around like what I am doing in classes and like what that looks like, what the freedom of Westgate allows me to do. Tim, if you would go to the next slide. So for example, like English 9, there's tons of writing to be done in English, almost so much so that to the like demise of some kids. So some of the things that we've done like in English 9 is just like visuals of like how do we take rhetorical devices and put them into visuals? How can we use drawing and incorporate art? Next slide, please. For English 10, this past semester I did a final, which I was really excited about, and these are some of the finals. They had to pick an era that we focused on, and they had to create something tangible. So in addition to an explanation and a PowerPoint, it had to be something tangible. So whether it was like the Renaissance era or Gothic literature, transcendentalism, something that they could see and hold with their hands, because I think often as high schoolers, they're so much immersed in technology that like being able and forcing them to use their hands and use art and like be more creative, I really enjoyed doing, and I think that they really enjoyed it too. Next slide, please. 11th grade, same with character analysis, just an example of like when we did plays like Willie Loman and Joe Keller from Death of a Salesman and All My Sons, some plays that we did. We also focused on like symbolism, and with the symbolism project, they had to create their own symbols of like what they would look like from the Glass Menagerie. I think that might be me. And then my advocacy. So I'm the 10th grade advocate this year. We are winners of the trunk or treat. I had to put that on there. Whoop, whoop. For trunk or treat. And then there's pictures of my kids folding cards for Kindness Day. They folded all the cards that the other grades used to make their kindness cards. And then they're just a good group of kids. I'm really grateful that they're just a fantastic group, and the community that we continue to create, and what like advocacy and all of the programming and just the schedule of spending time and following the same kids has allowed me to do and like bond with this group. I'm just really, really grateful.
All right, Mr. Kern.
Hello, everybody. Dale Kern here. Like Ms. Matthews said, we've done this presentation a few times, but every year things get changed up a little bit as far as curriculum. A couple years ago, so that we could Colorado standards changed for high school social studies a bit. So 9th grade began doing world history, and we began the year doing the Roman Empire. We just began the semester with the Renaissance and the Protestant Reformation. U.S. history is 10th grade is still doing U.S. history, and so sophomores began right after like the end of the middle of the 19th century, just after the Civil War. We just finished up World War II and began the 1950s actually this week. And then 11th grade, first semester, they had personal financial literacy, and they just started world history in January in the second semester. And then the electives that I'm doing, last semester, we did intro to psychology, and that was a lot of fun. And we just started intro to philosophy, and that's been pretty cool. The first month we did logic and reason, and this week we just began the Greek philosophers, so Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. And then I'm also doing contemporary world issues class, and that class focuses on current events. We look at media bias. We pick apart, look at like one story from different news sources, and we kind of examine it and see what is the objective and subjective story that's being told through the news. And that's been a lot of fun as well.
We also just, sorry.
Go ahead, Tim. Yep.
I was going to add, we also just had our first high school student teacher this past semester, Miss Hope Blinny, who Mr. Kern worked very closely with, and kind of taking after his lead, like she became very well acquainted with the students and got to know them, and they loved her. And a lot of that also was due to Mr. Kern's coaching and guidance. So thank you also for that, Dale.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. Then to Mr. Brinkley.
Hello. Yeah, so in Spanish classes, in semester 2, we're going to clothing and food unit and present tense. I'm really coaching up this year with Miss V and working towards being able to do better writing, being able to step up rigor. We're asking them to do more writing with like no help other than a book. So we're adding that into kind of the things that we were already doing that were working well. And so grammar conjugation is stepping up into semester 2. Now we're doing like all the different present tense conjugation. In Spanish 2, we did past tense earlier, and now we're in reflexive tense. So we're also really upping up the difficulty level of grammar in Spanish 2. In the journalism elective, the first semester we were kind of more introductory type, introducing different concepts, and now we're kind of more in like practicum stage where we're doing more of projects, and we're going to do so we're doing like a bigger magazine project, and then we're doing a broadcasting unit towards the end where it's more kind of putting things into practice. And I just wanted to add to that, since we have the same team and we've all been working together so well for the last few years, a lot of those trips, this is a picture of our trip to Grand Lake, Colorado. A lot of our things like trips, things like the events that we do just continue to get better and better. And we continue to work towards how those things can be better each year. And it's just been really amazing to work with these wonderful folks.
Thank you, Mr. Brinkley. And then we're going to end on, I have a couple more slides, but I think we're going to end on this one because I know we're pushing time as well. Gonna end with where I should have started, really, is it has been our joy and honor to invite Miss Alexia Vasilopoulos onto the high school team this year as well, working with both us and specials and bringing her expertise and our joy to everything we do. She is, I'm sure you're watching, Alexia. She is there in the center wearing her proud Hufflepuff gear on this picture. And also we had Mr. Brinkley joining us as Dobby for Hogwarts this year. But everything that we do academically goes right along with just everything fun we get to do. Homecoming, prom, Hogwarts. With service learning, we've got a group learning how to make. They are researching how to do recipes on a budget that they can then distribute. We have other groups going around and helping younger grades in the school. Like getting those chances to give back to the community are a pride and joy of everything that we do. Seminar on Fridays is a chance where we get to work with students to teach them like skills that are applicable to FRCC or the real world. Things like emailing professors, things like keeping up to date on grades, managing workloads, all those things that are going to serve them as they go forward. It is, and has been for 6 years now, truly a joy to work at Westgate and truly a joy to work with this team. And as always, truly a joy to work with all of you. Like board members, thank you for everything we do. We couldn't do it without you.